Roger, Roger, Darrell. This is KC9VKV, Jim, down around Louisville. I wanted to talk to you, if you've got just a moment, about your repeater up there in Winchester.
I'll be about 5 minutes to the house, and that'll be okay. I don't know if I have my radio voice on or not, but I got some kind.
Roger, are you mobile right now?
Yeah, I'm mobile on the bypass down here, which goes across from 60 over to 627 in Winchester.
Roger, Roger. Well, sounds good. Sounds good. I was just, if you're going to have 5 minutes before you get back to your location?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Well, tell me about your repeater. How long have you had that repeater up in Winchester?
Well, it's an interesting story about our repeater. The repeater, we put it in service in 2003, I think it was, maybe 2005. But we have a 440 and a 2-meter repeater up, and they're both Kenwoods. One of them's a TKR 750, that's the 2-meter one, and the 440 one's a TKR 850, and they're both advertised as 40 or 50 watt units. And we were told they wouldn't hold up because they're not, somebody told us they wasn't that good or something. And then we put LMR 1200 on it, which is a special order. I don't know where my brother found it. He ordered it for the ELC, and that stuff's as big as outdoor water hose used to go from a well to your house. And we put that up, and it's still going strong too. Through our duplexers, I think we got about 30 some odd watts out of them. We probably have about 10 watts to the antennas.
Wow, 10 watts to the antenna, and what we are down about 3 miles west of Louisville, so that would be, how many miles? 150, 165?
I'm not sure about that. If you're on QRZ, you can type my call sign in and see how far I am from you, and that'll give you an idea. The 440 antenna is a diamond repeater antenna at 300 feet, and the other antenna is a DV224, which I think is the best 2-meter repeater antenna that money can buy. That's what I've been told, and that's what we've got up. And I've got a DV8 to put up there at the 300-foot level if I can get somebody to climb up there and put it there. But we got good coverage. We got a county, we're servicing Clark County and Powell County down here, and it reaches really, really well, as you can tell, because I'm talking to you on it.
Roger. What's the gain of that DV224?
Oh, I don't know. It's got, I had to have the gain because I did the write-up to get the coordination done, and what you have to do, you have to have your coordination of feet above the ground, how much power you're running, your loss in your coax, your gain in your antenna, and the duplexers, and the whole works. And I don't remember what it was, but I think it's got 8 dipoles on it. The DV8's got 4 dipoles, but it's got them in, I guess, all 8 directions up there.
Roger. So those are like those C dipoles, look like C's?
Yeah, that's correct. And the DV224, when you get it, it's in 2 pieces with the coax still connected between the pieces. You flip it out and join the pieces together in the middle, and the coax is already connected to it, and they've already been swept and tuned and everything else, and you just get them up there. We built the mounting brackets for them at the bottom of the tower, and then I used my car to get the antennas up there, which is an interesting story too. But once we built the brackets, then we knew we could go up to the top, and there wouldn't be any problem because they'd already been tested out and adjusted whatever they needed and just bring them up there.
Roger. So you had a rope or something on a pulley, and you used your car to pull them up?
Yeah, the guy that was up there, he had an HT, and he was running 1/10 of a watt or something, and he was up there at the top, and people could hear him in Bourbon County and over in Mount Sterling, which were over 20 miles away from there, and they could hear him real clear over there riding around. But he had a pulley at the bottom, a pulley at the top, and a 600-foot rope. We switch, and we pull the things up, and he'd tell me when to stop, and I could move it an inch or two or whatever, and it was the easiest setup he had. Of course, the day before that, I think he said he was on a 1,000-foot tower. This guy was.
Roger, Roger. So, and what did those DV-224s? What did they replace?
They didn't replace anything. They were first run. We had just gotten the repeater stuff set up, and that was their first antenna. And we had 2 rolls of that LMR 1200, and it's such a big cable. The connectors were $50, $60, $70 a piece, something like that. And I remember we had to use a pipe wrench to put them on that cable.
Roger, Roger. And tremendous weight, Roger.
Yes, it was. I think he had to, we had, let's see, I don't know if we had those little brackets or not coming down the tire, but as you come down the tire, of course, my car could pull it up there without any trouble, but coming down, you had to spin it off and make sure that it would hold the weight, because, yes, it is extremely heavy.
Roger, we've had some hardline that will, like a GP9, it would actually pull the guts out of the GP9 if you just were holding on to the sleeve of the antenna up on the stick.
Yeah, I think this one's mounted, and I'm not exactly sure how he's got it fed together. I think the LMR 1200 is mounted at the top, and there's a jumper going across. Most of the repeater antennas and stuff that I've heard about, they usually use some kind of pigtail or jumper to go across to the antennas.
Roger, I was just curious. So you've got 4 dipoles. Did you have to use 3 harnesses to hook it up?
No, the harness is already on the antenna. They're all phased and everything, and you just have one end connector to connect to, and that hooked them all up.
Oh, Roger. All right. That makes it nice. So what do you think your footprint is right at the moment, normally?
Well, we have a net on Thursday nights at 8:45 if anybody wants to come and try to check in. It's 145.430 with negative offset and a 203.5 tone. We get check-ins every week from up in the Grant County, which is up close to Cincinnati, and we get them down from Somerset and London and Kentucky and all around. It works really, really well. Not have any kind of problem doing that, and it's consistently done that way. And it's actually out of town a ways, and people can get into it with HTs, and it's just a real good working machine.
Roger, Roger. I think, as I recall, once I ran across your repeater, you were doing some kind of emergency civil defense involvement there. I didn't realize exactly what was going on, Roger.
Every year, there's I forgot what month it's in. It's always on a Wednesday morning. FEMA and CSEP and all them have a big exercise, and we provide communications for the ELC, and they've got, let's see, I know they got 40 some odd phones in there, but every person that's involved with each different part of the county government comes in there, and they all have their own phone and a laptop, and then we do communications, and then the fire departments and everybody have their own. But our ham radio club gets information back into them much faster than they can get it there. They already know about it by the time their body calls it in. They already know. So it's pretty good, and we do that. And then we just got through sponsoring the Horsey 100, but we didn't use our repeater. We used one in Frankfurt. That's a race that's down here, bicycle race that had over 3,000 bikes in an area that has absolutely no cell phone coverage close to Frankfort, Kentucky, which sounds impossible.
Well, Frankfurt is pretty hilly territory, so I guess even if they did have cell phone towers, that they would have very, very limited range because of the hilly conditions in the Frankfurt area. But back to that time when you were conducting those assisting the federal government or whatever it was. I was really impressed by the professionalism that the net controller was utilizing. I knew it wasn't you, but he was very, very professional in his operation, Roger.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is AC4YD for my identification. He's a net controller for the Freewheelers net, and if anyone's interested in listening to him, his call is WA4YPN, and he's on 3916 starting around 10 or 11 o'clock every night. He runs that Freewheelers that goes till about 2 a.m. He runs it just about every night, so if anybody wanted to get in there and check in with him, then that one's open too. So we have actually 6, I think, net controls that we rotate on a weekly basis, so nobody does it 2 weeks in a row unless they're subbing out for somebody.
Roger, Darrell. And do you have any future plans for upgrades or anything?
Yeah, I would like to get that antenna up the top, and we're also talking about the Flex. We got two 7100s for radios in there, and a Flex 6500, and the Flex 6500. Everything's on fiber optics into the building. There's no antenna things and cables coming in, so it makes it hard to hook up some of the features of the Flex because it's got to go through the optical fiber optics. But we'd like to upgrade it for digital modes and all that kind of stuff. And then the 7100s, we're running them with the head located in the building. Because normally if you call it an ICOM and buy the radio that way, you have to use that software that they've got to control it. And we found a way of doing it without any of that. And it's on the fiber optic.
All right, that's great. And just out of curiosity, you say you're doing about 10 watts output to your dipoles right now?
That's our best guess. Nobody's been up there to measure it, but that's kind of the thought with that many feet of wire. But now consider that we have a fairly high gain antenna and a low loss line, so we may be running maybe 15 or even 20. We're probably running more than that down on the 2-meter one because it's only 240 feet off the ground, but the 300-foot one, we got that whole row of coax going up it. So that's the one that's got the low power, but it's on 440, and Natural Bridge and all those places are not really a hard run for that thing.
Roger. And you're going to have more loss on the 70-centimeter side than on the 2-meter side anyway.
Supposedly considerably more, but there's a guy in Lexington that sells in this communications place, those Kenwood repeaters, and this one's been real good. It's excellent. And we've got a backup unit right under the 2-meter one because we had some guys, they talked too long one day and finals went out, and I took it over there, and the finals were not out of the repeater. They had just talked so long, the circuit board got hot, and the finals came unsoldered from the board, and they fixed it back and said it would never do that again. But we went on and got a backup unit right under it, so I can go out there if the first repeater breaks down, and I can take it out of there and replace I can have the other repeater on the air in about 30 seconds once I get in that building.
Roger, you almost needed to reset your TOT time.
My TOT time.
Your total operating time cut out.
Well, it's got a 3 minutes, I think, and it'll shut down. But I don't know how those guys were able. I think they just it may have cut off on them a couple of times or something, but they just kept on doing it, and it never had enough time to cool off. The thermostat on it must have been kind of sensitive, and if it dropped a degree, then it came back on and get hot, and each time it got a little hotter, I think. Something like that.
Roger. Well, it's working really good now, and I really appreciate your time, Darrell. I was just really curious about the Winchester repeater. I run to it quite often, so you do put a real good signal back towards Louisville, and I am pretty sure that that's about 165-mile distance.
That sounds about right. It really does. And I've looked at it before when I've talked to you, and I haven't, don't remember that because it's been a while, but that sounds about right. And we have, get repeater check-ins for our net from lots of different places. We get one from Falmouth about every week or so, and to the west, let's see, southwest, whatever would be Somerset and down through there, and down in Renfro Valley area, we get down into there fairly well, and just lots of places.
Roger that. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping up. Anything that you wanted to add that we haven't covered?
No, not really. Email me at AC4YD at ARRL.net the URLs for what we're doing here, and that way I can go listen to it.
Roger. Well, I can give it to you. If you go to YouTube, you just do a call letter search of Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor KC9VKV call letter search on YouTube, and that will bring up the about 50 some odd Qso-Vlogs, Roger.
Okay, well, I'm still mobile, so that makes it a little harder to write it down. That's why I asked you that.
Roger, Roger. I'll try to get that up to you, sir. And you're going to be at your base here in a short?
No, actually, I have to go over here next door. I got a little house I'm kind of buying into over here next door to me, and want to check up on that because this is closing day.
Ah, well, lots of luck. Hope it closes without any problems.
I think it'll be just fine. I don't think there'll be a problem, and then I'll have another yard I can run antennas over.
Yeah, that's the problem. We tend to run out of square footage to put antennas up. I've got 3 towers and 4 20-foot pipes, and I'm just about, and 2 80-meter and a 40-meter dipole, and I'm just about out of space. Darrell, let me say threes to you, sir. I appreciate the Qso, and I will email you the particulars on the URL.
Okay, I hope I haven't bored everybody anyway. I've just been kind of rambling, and that's what you do in these little conversations. You kind of ramble on, don't you?
Absolutely. That's the cornerstone of a good QSL. I'm sorry, a Qso.
We're not using a spelling checker on you today.
I spend my life with Google up as I'm writing. About every third word I have to Google the spelling.
Yeah, we had a student one time that they were doing their Spanish notebook and they were typing it on a English keyboard, and that was kind of rough that way. And then they decided when they got it done that they were going to use the spell check. Well, you don't spell check Spanish written words. It'll stop on every one of them.
Roger, about the strangest thing I had was I had a pre-sample of a mixing program from Magic. It was a Magic Studio program. It was so new it was still in German, so I had to have Google translate quite often trying to run that program. It was very interesting. Darrell, threes to you, sir. We'll catch you later. Roger.
Okay, you're getting a little bit of noise. It may be going out. And we had a band opening yesterday because I heard my radio from the other room, and I thought it was something had happened to the repeater, and then the IDer came on, and I noticed it wasn't their call, so it was probably up in Ohio somewhere. Anyway, we'll let you go and get out of this mobile, and I'll tune that in, and probably I'll get bored with me or think, well, doesn't sound like me, so I'll get off of there, and of course I might download it, and I don't know whether I would download it and take it to club meeting. They haven't had a good laugh for a while, but that's okay.
Roger, Roger. Well, it's dropped. Your signal's dropped a little bit from about 3.5 lights to about 2.5 lights. Still very, very solid, though. Not too much noise. And I am running a DBX Type 1 noise reduction on the receiver audio out, and that's going to clean it up even more. Roger?
Sound like a winner to me. Take care. This is AC4YD Mobile.
Roger, Roger, threes. And this is KC9VKV. We'll be clear.